Did you know that December 25th is not the actual birth date of Christ? From studying the Gospel of Luke, one can estimate the time of his birth. We can begin with Luke chapter 1, verse 5, with Zacharias. Zacharias was a Levitical priest, and to be a Levitical priest, you must be a full-blooded Levite. Now, if a Levitical priest were to marry, he would have to marry a full-blooded Levite as well, which Elizabeth was. Not only did they fulfill the legal requirements to serve in the course of Abia, they were both righteous before God. They were both well advanced in years, and Elizabeth was barren. She could not have children. The course of Abia was the 8th of 24 priestly courses of ministration in the temple, which David divided. Each course occurred twice a year, and each began with a Sabbath and were changed every week. The first course was on the 22nd day of Tashira, which would fall on the 8th day, the last day of the Feast of the Tabernacles. To us, it would be about September or October. Since the course was twice a year, the ministrations of Abia were December 6 through 12 and June 13 through 19. This particular course fell on June the 13th through the 19th. Verse 8 and 9 reads, "His lot was to burn incense when he went into the temple of the Lord. It was his time to send up the incense to God himself, as you will find in Exodus chapter 30, verse 1 through 7. We then read in verse 11 that an angel appeared to him at this time, which was June the 13th through the 19th, which sets up a time frame. The angel tells him in verse 13, "Fear not, Zacharias, for thy prayer is heard, and thy wife Elizabeth shall bear thee a son, and thou shalt call his name John." The only problem with this is that Zacharias did not believe the angel, as you will read in verse 18. Zacharias wanted a sign to see if this was true, and the only sign he would get would be that he would not be able to speak because of his unbelief. In verse 23, we are told that as soon as the days of his ministration were accomplished, he departed to his own house. The course of Abia fell on June the 13th through the 19th, with a Sabbath following. Because of the Sabbath, he could not travel till the next day, which would have been June the 21st. His hometown was about 30 miles away and over the hill country of Judah. Because of this, most scholars agree that an old man his age would have probably taken at least 2 days to get to his home. So if he left Jerusalem on the 21st, and if it took him 2 days to get to his home, that would put the conception on either the 23rd or the 24th of June, the latter being the more reasonable. In verse 24, we read that Elizabeth hid herself for 5 months, which would put us at November the 24th. We read in verse 26 that on the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God unto a city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin espoused to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. This would be the 6th month, which would make it December the 24th. This is how we know that John was 6 months older than Jesus. In verse 30, the angel told Mary, "Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with God. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son, and shalt call his name Jesus." The date that the angel visited Mary was December the 24th. We are told in this verse that Mary shall conceive, which means it has not happened just yet. It is more probable that she conceived the next morning, December the 25th. 9 months later would be September 25th. Now, symbolically, this date would fall on the 7th month of the first day of the Feast of the Tabernacles. It would also mean that his circumcision, as it is by law in Leviticus chapter 12, verse 3, would fall on the last day of the feast, which would be a perfect match. So, Should we celebrate December 25th as many do, or is it wrong to do so? These are questions every family needs to decide for themselves. If we only worship God and nothing else, I ask, what can be so wrong with giving a child a gift and showing love for one another?